Call the meeting to order. Call the roll.
Trustee Healy?
Here.
Trustee Katsinas?
Here.
Trustee Milani?
Here.
Trustee Compass? Trustee Reardon? Trustee Radoszewski? Mayor Pekoff?
Here.
Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oath of office for village elected officials.
If you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Keith Peacock,
I, Keith Peacock,
having been re-elected to the office of village president
having been re-elected to the office of village president
in the village of Orland Park in the counties of Cook and Will, aforesaid,
in the village of Orland Park, in the counties of Will and Cook, aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of village president
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of village president
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Patrick R. Sullivan, having been elected to the office of village clerk
Having been elected to the office of village clerk
in the village of Orland Park
in the village of Orland Park,
in the counties of Cook and Will aforesaid,
the counties of Cook and Will aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of village clerk
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of village clerk
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Alan.
Emotional.
Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
Sean Compass.
Having been elected to the office of trustee
Having been elected to the office of trustee
in the village of Orland Park,
in the village of Orland Park,
in the counties of Cook and Will, aforesaid,
in the counties of Cook and Will, aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of trustee to the best of my ability.
of the office of trustee to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Brian, you want to borrow my mom?
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Brian Reardon,
Having been elected to the office of trustee
having been elected to the office of trustee
in the village of Orland Park,
in the village of Orland Park,
in the counties of Cook and Will, aforesaid,
in the counties of Cook and Will, aforesaid,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I state your name.
elected to the office of trustee
in the village of Orland Park,
in the village of Orland Park,
and counties of Cook and Will, aforesaid,
in the counties of Will, Cook, and Everett,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of trustee to the best of my ability.
of the office of trustee to the best of my ability.
Mr. Chairman or Mr. President, they recognize. Unless somebody else does.
Thank you. Thank you. I will entertain a motion to take a temporary recess for cake and coffee.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Campos?
Aye.
Trustee Reardon?
Aye.
Trustee Radiszewski?
Aye.
Mayor Peacock?
Aye. Motion carries. We're recessed for cake and coffee.
Here. Trustee Katsinas?
Here.
Trustee Malani?
Here.
Trustee Campos?
Here.
Trustee Reardon?
Here.
Trustee Radiszewski?
Here.
Mayor Peacock?
Here.
Approval of the April 19th, 2021 regular meeting minutes.
Mr. Mayor,
Trustee Katsinas.
I move to approve the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting of March 15, 2021.
Second.
Of March 15th,
I'm sorry, I take that
April
back.
19th, 2021.
The motion clearly says March, but I will correct that to say April.
Second.
So I'll entertain a motion to move to approve the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting of the April 19th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Campos?
I abstain as I was not member of a board.
Trustee Reardon?
Abstain for the same reason?
Trustee Radiszewski?
I abstain for the same reason.
Mayor Peacock?
Aye. Motion carries 4-0.
Consent agenda.
First, we have the accounts payable. So we have, first we have the accounts payable from April 20th, 2021 through May 3rd, 2021, approval.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Healy.
I move to approve the accounts payable from April 20th, 2021 through May 3rd, 2021 in the amount of $2,394,041.74. Second.
Any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Campos?
Aye.
Trustee Reardon?
Aye.
Trustee Radiszewski?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Mayor Peacock?
Aye. You're just one behind. Just flip both those over. Just your mic.
Payroll, right? Or consent agenda?
Consent agenda.
Okay. Consent agenda.
Consent agenda, item A, payroll for April 16, 2021, approval. Item B, Konica Minolta multifunction printer lease. Item C, recodification services, publication and supplemental services for the Municipal Code and Land Development Code. Item D, an ordinance removing Title IX, Chapter 13 bicycles from the Orland Park Village Code. Item E, resolution acknowledging the appointment of deputy clerks of the Village of Orland Park.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Campos.
I move to approve the consent agenda items A through E.
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Reardon?
Aye.
Trustee Radiszewski?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Campos?
Aye.
Mayor Peacock?
Aye.
I do. That part I actually got right for once.
They vote first.
Oh, I thought they last. Okay, thank you. I'll get it, I promise. These are all part of the consent, right? Is this next, or is that part of the consent? Development services. This should be the next thing, is
Hold on,
this is next, right?
hold on. Just Joe Rizzo and Mercury. Here, here, hold on.
Supposed to read just.
It's this one.
Development services, planning and engineering.
Oh, it's right here.
Here we go. Joe Rizzo Lincoln Dealership, development petition for special use permit amendment with modification, site plan, elevations, and landscape plan, 2020-0751.
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Katsinas?
I move to approve the special use permit amendment with modification, site plan, elevation, and landscape plan for the proposed Joe Rizzo Lincoln development petition as recommended at the April 20th, 2021 Plan Commission meeting and as fully referenced in the motion below.
Second.
Are there any comments? Call the roll.
Member Katsinas?
Aye.
Member Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Compass?
Aye.
Trustee Reardon?
Aye.
Trustee Radzikowski?
Aye.
Mayor Peacock?
Aye. Motion carries 7-0.
I cut the second one.
The blooper reel is going to be really good on this one.
Yeah. 2021-0031, Orland Ridge, amendment to development agreement and revised reference exhibits for elevations, site plan, and landscape plan.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani?
may I have an ordinance number, please?
Give them an ordinance number.
It's usually on here, isn't it?
Should be.
There's an attachment here.
See next one.
5611.
I move to pass ordinance number 5611 entitled Ordinance Authorizing Amendment to Development Agreement, Orland Ridge, 16727 through 16801 South LaGrange Road.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Compass.
Aye.
Trustee Reardon.
Aye.
Trustee Radzikowski.
Aye.
Mayor Peacock.
Aye. Motion carries.
(2021-0345), professional plan review, inspection, and support services on an as-needed basis.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Compass?
I move to approve entering into a professional services contract with Safe Built for professional plan review, inspection, and support services on an as-needed basis, and to authorize the village manager to execute all related contracts subject to village attorney review.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Compass.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Trustee Reardon.
Aye.
Trustee Radzikowski.
Aye.
Mayor Peacock.
Aye.
Parks and Recreation, 2021-0195, Parks Master Plan RFP.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Healy?
I move to approve awarding the developing of a master plan as outlined in RFP number 20-036 to establish a master plan and develop conceptual designs which identify the appropriate uses and improvements to 4 village park sites, including Centennial Parks, Centennial Park West, Schussler Park, and John Humphrey Complex Phase 3 to White and Company at a price not to exceed the proposal cost of $126,000 plus a 15% contingency of $18,900, totaling $144,900, and to authorize the village manager to execute all related contracts subject to village attorney review.
Second.
Do we have a presentation here, George, or no? So yeah, Ray, if you could just give everyone a quick summary.
Be my pleasure. So the Parks Master Plan was initiated to develop the conceptual plans for the future development of Centennial Park West, Schuessler Park, and the third phase of the John Humphrey Complex. An RFP was issued and 13 proposals were received, and those range from $88,400 to $543,000. Staff reviewed each of the proposals to evaluate the qualifications of each submission based on each firm's previous master plan experience, completed projects of similar scope and size, the project team's qualifications and expertise, and the overall cost to develop the master plan as proposed or outlined in the RFP. The selection committee, consisting of staff from the village manager's office, engineering and program services, public works, recreation, and parks, selected seven firms to make presentations. Each firm was then graded on a 100-point scale based on the criteria which was identified in the RFP. Wright & Company scored a 98, and JSD Professional Services scored 93 in their in-person presentations. The presentations included each project team's director, project manager, engineer, and survey staff. While both firms are qualified, the selection committee believes Wright & Company is more capable and will deliver exceptional concepts which uniquely meet the expectations of the Orland Park community. Wright staff demonstrated a highly interactive capability throughout their presentation. As a part of their collection and developing the concept, to having a robust community engagement campaign with stakeholders, which include our residents, of course, athletic organizations, the village board, the recreation advisory board, and staff will be at a critical step in developing the master plan. Wright's project team is led by their principal in charge, Bob Imes, and their project manager, lead designer, Patty King. With 25 years' experience, Patty has designed and managed over $95 million in parks and recreation projects and has earned 26 OSLAD grants. Wright's in-house team consists of architects, landscape architects, civil engineers, and cost estimators. Wright has extensive experience designing and building unique functional spaces for families to play, be entertained, compete, and connect. In business for 81 years, Wright & Company has designed and constructed over 150 recreational facilities, outdoor sports complexes for municipalities, school districts, universities, and other park districts. Wright will employ ETC Institute to conduct the statistically valid survey. ETC has conducted over 1,000 surveys in 49 states over the last 10 years, surveying over 2 million stakeholders. Wright's project timeline from the time of award will be 8 months. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Malani?
Just to kind of, I guess, to summarize, so we're not accepting the lowest bid, but we're accepting the best bid that met all of our criteria, correct?
Correct. We think that Wright & Company will deliver a better conceptual plans than JSD.
Right, and I think our original budget was $350,000 for this?
Correct.
So we're almost $200,000 under budget?
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Katsinas?
Just wanted to thank you, Ray, and your staff for putting together such a fine packet on this information. And you did a lot of homework to get the right contractor, so thank you and your staff for that.
Thank you.
Any other comments? So I'll close with saying thank you also for your efforts. This has been a long time coming. I've been working on this for 4 years to try and get this, and it started with getting John Humphrey redeveloped, but it really is bigger than that. It's about John Humphrey, it's about Centennial Park West, and Schuessler Park, and having a comprehensive plan for all of that. In this case, as pointed out, the bids range from $100,000 to $550,000. So this is definitely down on the low end, and they did do an extensive background. It's important to get the right contractor, and as pointed out, it's still a couple $100,000 under what we budgeted, and they have I believe they've made a good choice based on all the information that was given to me and briefed to me as well. So good job on this. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. The other thing that people should know is that this will include engagement with the residents to get their opinion on things as well. So that it's going to be an interactive process, not only with the company that's doing the master design, but also with the public. So, which is very important as we look to how we're going to take Centennial Park and Schuessler Park and to some extent John Humphrey into the future. Call the roll.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Campos?
Aye.
Trustee Reardon?
Aye.
Trustee Radiszewski?
Aye.
Mayor Peacock?
Aye. Get up there.
2021-0346, FY 2021 Budget Amendment Number 2 approval.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Healy?
I move to approve an increase in the general fund expenditure budget in the amount of $69,523 and an increase in the Recreation and Parks Fund expenditure budget of $17,435 as detailed on the fiscal year 2021 Amendment Number 2 worksheet.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Who's the second, Mike?
Mike?
Okay. Trustee Healy.
Aye.
Trustee Malani.
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas.
Aye.
Trustee Compass.
Aye.
Trustee Reardon.
Aye.
Trustee Radiszewski.
Aye.
Mayor Peacock.
Aye.
2021-0332, a resolution urging the Illinois House and Senate redistricting committees to postpone meetings to gather accurate redistricting data to eliminate gerrymandering.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Compass?
Clerk O'Sullivan, could I get a resolution number, please?
2114.
I move to adopt resolution number 2114 entitled, "A Resolution Urging the Illinois House and Senate Redistricting Committees to Postpone Meetings to Gather Accurate Redistricting Data to Eliminate Gerrymandering."
Second.
So first I'll read the resolution. If anyone has any comments, they can comment. A resolution urging the Illinois House and Senate redistricting committees to postpone meetings to gather accurate redistricting data to eliminate gerrymandering. Whereas obtaining an accurate count of population is so vital to our democracy and the framers of the U.S. Constitution address the issue of apportionment in the opening paragraphs of the Constitution, and whereas the Illinois Constitution requires Illinois lawmakers to redraw legislative districts each decade on the basis of population so as to ensure each resident the same rights and access to government, and whereas every 10 years Illinois lawmakers have the power to redraw their own state legislative districts and protect their seats against challengers, and whereas the gerrymandering process results in legislators purposefully creating unfair districts that benefit political aspirations and harm our democracy, and whereas gerrymandering predetermines outcomes, increases polarization, and produces uncompetitive elections, career politicians, and government deadlock, all because politicians have little to no reason to fear the consequences of being voted out of office. And whereas gerrymandering is not a Democrat or Republican issue, but it is a democracy issue. And whereas the citizens need maps that are drawn to truly represent the best interests of the people across the state that allow them to meaningfully participate in our democracy, and whereas Illinoisans deserve a truly transparent and equitable mapping process, and whereas the Census Bureau has announced that the timeline for the release of census data would be delayed this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and whereas to date, state lawmakers have not demonstrated that current and accurate data will be used as required by the U.S. Constitution, Illinois Constitution, and applicable laws, and whereas witness from multiple advocacy groups have expressed concerns about the flawed redistricting plans, and whereas using outdated and faulty data risks the disenfranchisement of voters, and whereas a decade ago, during the last redistricting, voters in Orland Park were disenfranchised through the use of gerrymandering, and whereas as one of the South Suburban Cook County's largest municipalities, it is important that Orland Park's representation in the Illinois General Assembly be unified in the smallest amount of legislative districts as possible, which allows the citizens of Orland Park to elect representatives that more directly reflect the community's interests and concerns. And whereas it is important that the district lines be compact, contiguous, and impartial to political party, and whereas in 2019, Governor J.B. Pritzker campaigned for office on a promise to end the political gerrymandering that made so many elected officials in this state comfortable to the point of being utterly unaccountable to anyone but their friends and donors, and whereas Governor Pritzker has stressed that districts should be drawn so that they are competitive, now therefore be it resolved by the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Orland Park, Cook and Will Counties, Illinois, as follows. Section 1, the above recitals are incorporated by reference into this section and made a part hereof as though fully set forth herein. Section 2, the Village President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Orland Park resolved to encourage the Illinois House and Senate redistricting committees to postpone meetings until leaders can ensure that current and accurate data will be available and used for the purposes of redistricting, so that general guidelines and uniform rules are established to ensure members of the public have ample time to prepare to participate in the process, and to incorporate more transparency and accountability into the process, and to guarantee a redistricting free of partisan gerrymandering and ensuring the full enfranchisement of all Illinois residents. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon its adoption as provided by law. Any comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Trustee Compass.
So, as we all know, every decade our country undergoes a census. And one of the many reasons for that census is so that we can provide data and get the data about our citizens so that we as a constitutional republic can have fair representation. Our Illinois General Assembly is expected to use that data to create the district maps. However, due to delays caused by the pandemic, the census data is not yet fully available. However, Springfield has decided that they are going to continue to proceed on redistricting without that information. This is what they're protecting. George, do you have those slides ready? I believe some pictures can tell a better story than my words. These are the 4 state house districts to which some portion of Orland Park belongs. You'll see that Orland Park is highlighted in yellow in each of these maps. An interesting note on all of these is that you'll note that 3 of these districts grow what I can only call a tentacle into Chicago. And 3 of these district offices are in Chicago or Blue Island. Going to the next slide, you'll see our state Senate maps. 2 of the 3 Senate maps have that same effect, where you see that the map draws itself out to the Chicagoland area and into the city. And then on the final slide, this is repeated at the federal level as well, where both Congressional District 1 and District 3 reach all the way into the city, and their offices are in the city. So while I'm no fan of gerrymandering, it's an unfortunate reality of the system here in Illinois. However, moving forward without any census data, even if they had good intentions, will result in an unbalanced and unfair distribution of representation in these districts. There's no way that they can do it. They don't know the numbers. And I believe the state of Illinois owes it to the principles of our democracy to wait for the data so that this can be done with better precision. This resolution is asking them to wait for the information rather than rush to the cracking and packing business as usual.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Trustee Malani.
I definitely support this resolution, and I agree with what Trustee Compass is saying. And if you look at these maps, without the proper data and without the proper knowledge, it's not possible to accurately redistrict our community, and it would open us up to very unfair practices from legislators, and to help them redraw the district lines to their benefit. So I'm glad we're pushing this through. So thank you.
Any other comments? So as you notice, there are 7 of the 9 districts go into Chicago. This is not just an Orland Park problem, this is a Chicago suburb problem. The Cook County suburbs have roughly the same population as the city of Chicago proper. Yet every suburb is tied into the city of Chicago, and that's who dominates our legislature. So while Chicago represents 1/6 of the population, it is over double that represented in state legislature and the state house. It's no wonder why we get the same poor government that the city of Chicago gets at the state level, because I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Those maps, the city of Chicago there does not represent the people of Orland Park or our region. And if you go back to the state Senate maps and the state rep maps, go back to the state rep map in particular, you can see basically 3 of the 4 is completely dominated by the city of Chicago. And that's not just us, that's every suburb in Cook County deals with that. And so what happens down at the state, we get Chicago-centric legislation that benefits Chicago and continues to reward them for their mismanagement. And that's not fair to the suburbs. These need to be more compact. They're required by law to be compact, but somehow this is compact to the judges. And that is unfortunate. But to even think about doing this without data, at least in the past they've pretended they've used the data. Now they're even saying we're not even going to pretend anymore. We're just going to draw them however we feel like it. Well, the same thing's going to happen where Orland Park, I don't know if anyone here feels that they're well represented with our 4 reps and 4 state senators, but I don't, because they don't represent, we're such a small portion of their district as a percentage of the vote, they pay us no mind, because our votes don't matter to them. If you make it much more compact, include Orland, say Orland Park, Tinley Park, which Orland and Tinley combined would be about the size of a state rep seat. Now you're going to get a representative that actually cares about what's going on in Orland and Tinley and not just Chicago. So this is very, very important that this happens, and we will be sending this on to all of our legislators and to the governor. Call the roll.
Trustee Compass?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Reardon?
Aye.
Trustee Radiszewski?
Aye.
Mayor Peacock?
Aye.
2021-0337, resolution requesting the complete restoration of local government distributive fund, LGDF, revenue to local governments and opposing any further reduction to LGDF revenue.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani.
I move to adopt Resolution Number 2112, entitled Resolution Requesting the Complete Restoration of Local Government Distributive Fund, LGDF Revenue, to local governments and opposing any further reduction to LGDF revenue.
Second.
I will also read this, and then I'll give a little bit of a layman's view of what the LGDF is. But whereas local governments provide fundamental and important services to their residents, including but not limited to justice and public safety services, transportation infrastructure, human services, and parks and recreation opportunities, and whereas the state of Illinois has a long-standing tradition of helping to support these local services through the collection and distribution of tax revenues on behalf of local governments, and whereas local governments rely on these shared revenues in order to invest in services that residents cannot or should not do without, and whereas these shared revenues are the result of a good faith historical partnership between the state and local governments in Illinois, whereas when the state income tax was adopted in 1969, the state agreed to share 10% total income tax collections through the LGDF, with local governments recognizing that local governments are essential service providers for Illinois residents, and whereas until January 2011, 10% of total income tax collections was dedicated to LGDF for distribution to local municipalities and counties, and whereas local government share of the LGDF has already been reduced over time to 6.06% of individual income tax collections and 6.845% of corporate income tax collections, and whereas Governor J.B. Pritzker has proposed that the state fiscal year 2022 state budget include an additional 10% reduction in the amount of LGDF revenue distributed to local governments, and whereas this revenue reduction is being proposed at a time when local governments are already expending additional funds on COVID-19 emergency response, and whereas distributions from the LGDF play a part in maintaining a low local tax burden, and whereas another decrease in LGDF revenue will have an adverse effect on village residents and other residents throughout the state of Illinois, whereas the Village of Orland Park has managed LGDF revenue responsibly and used revenue for the benefit of its residents. Now therefore be it resolved by the Village President and the Board of Trustees of the Village of Orland Park, Cook and Will Counties, Illinois as follows. The Village President and the Board of Trustees of the Village of Orland Park resolve to encourage the General Assembly and Governor J.B. Pritzker to protect and preserve existing levels of LGDF revenue and any other state-collected local government revenues that are shared with local municipalities to provide appropriate levels of service to their residents. The Village President and the Board of Trustees of the Village of Orland Park further resolve to encourage the General Assembly and Governor J.B. Pritzker to completely restore the distribution of LGDF revenue to local governments to the original percentage share of 10% that was agreed to over 50 years ago. Are there any comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Trustee Malani.
I know this is, yet again another example of the state of Illinois, moving the finish line. The distributions have been constantly reduced, and it's really becoming a joke at this point. I know that Mokina's reported that they're going to lose over $225,000 from this reduction. Do we have an estimate? I don't know if staff knows.
Well, the reduction itself will reduce us about $400-some thousand, but the original restoration, so if they restored it back to 10%, it's $4.05 million last year.
So it's an additional $400,000 on top of that?
It's an additional $400,000 on top of that, correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. That was me, sorry.
Trustee Reardon.
Yeah, I agree with this completely. I think how it affects us is obvious, but what it affects is some of our neighbors, specifically, that can't handle that. I mean, Mokina.
It doesn't like you.
It doesn't like me, no. Maybe it's the seat. Maybe it's the seat. I don't know.
Can we turn it off?
Okay. Again, I think some of our neighbors that maybe, Mokina is one example, but there's a few that are in the surrounding areas that this kind of a hit to their budget that we learned this week, that could be our problem, a week, a month, a year down the road. And so, it affects Orland Park, and we are well managed with some other cities around us. This would be a significant impact on them, so I fully support this.
Mr. Chairman?
Trustee Healy.
As an accountant who does tax returns, I do a lot of tax returns, and then you find out from these people from around the country, there's a personal income tax in Philadelphia, Cleveland, Cincinnati, all these states, Kansas City, St. Louis. A lot of them have a personal income tax that the village or city charges to collect the revenue. In Illinois, it's my understanding that we gave up that bargaining for assessing a local income tax to this LGBDF for 10%, and that was the deal. And they arbitrarily lower that 10%, and we're still unable to control our own destiny, even though we're a home rule community. It's been unfair for years, and it just loses your, just additional loss of faith in government. I think both the previous resolution and this resolution, well, I think that the causes behind the problems that we see are a reason for a large exodus out of the state. When we see the dishonest Illinois bargaining, it's not just a governor, it's a whole group, it's the whole people down there that I can see. So anyway, I'm for this resolution, and not optimistic about getting a change, but we have to make a statement on it. Thank you.
Any other comments? So Trustee Healy's right. So in the past, when Illinois first passed the state income tax in 1969, as part of an agreement, particularly with the city of Chicago, but with all municipalities, that they would not impose their own income taxes, provided the state would share back 10% of what they received on a per capita basis. So obviously, Orland Park doesn't get its share because we pay a higher per person than in other towns do, but we still get a relatively large sum of money back, and this is a way also to help some of those poor communities that maybe don't have as much income in their communities. So it's distributed purely based on population of your town, okay? And that held true until 2011. When the state raised income tax, they cut LGDF because they wanted to grab everything and use this excuse to grab more. The COVID, we were supposed to get $9 million, and we got $450,000. To put it in perspective, Mokina got $900,000. That's double us, and they're a third of our population. So, because theirs was distributed by Will County, because it was the state and Cook County that kept that money themselves. Well, in this case, it's the state, again, keeping the money to themselves because they cannot balance their own budget. They're balancing it on the backs of municipalities, which really means they're balancing it on the backs of you. Because as I pointed out, last year alone, that 10% to 6% cut, it's $4.05 million. To put that in perspective, that's over 50% of our enhanced road program. It's actually more than what our road program was when I first arrived here. It's triple, well, 2 to 3 times what we spend on restoring our parks every year. It's real money. But Orland Park, we have a very robust economy, and we've been able to absorb these hits. Think about some of our neighbors to the east that are losing $2 million a year in this revenue, and they've had to eliminate their police department and fire department, and the county now has to pick that up. So they don't have police and fire. That's because of the LGDF. So it hurts all of us, and it hurts us in ways because of all of our neighbors having those issues. What do you think happens with crime and other things when that happens? It just feeds on itself all the way through the suburbs, through downstate, not being able to fix their local roads. I mean, every community gets damaged by this. And the state is doing it because they mismanage their own funds. They made these cuts from 10 to 6% at the same time that they had record revenues. So hear that right. They had record revenues and they cut still cut the revenues to municipalities. So they continue to do this on our backs as a municipality, which means they're doing it on all of your backs. So the good news is that for the first time in 4 years, the mayor's caucuses, all of them, came out in a press conference and demanded that the governor restore all of this back to 10%. When I first arrived, at that time there was a 10% cut and we were at 5.4%, and they were all thrilled that we got it back to 6%. And I said, well, they took away an entire loaf of bread and gave you back 2 slices. It's like being a prisoner of war, and they're just, trying to make you happy. And finally, after 4 years, all of the mayors, every single mayor's caucus and the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus all together pushed for this. And as a whole, that's a very good sign that the mayors are banding together, because 1,400 mayors throughout the state of Illinois carry a lot of weight. And we need this money restored back to all municipalities, not just Orland Park. Call the roll.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Compass?
Aye.
Trustee Reardon?
Aye.
Trustee Rashevsky?
Aye.
Mayor Pika?
Aye.
An ordinance amending Title VII, Chapter 4 of the Orland Park Village Code in regard to alcoholic liquor shipping and delivery.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Compass.
Clerk O'Sullivan, could I have an ordinance number, please?
5612.
I move to adopt ordinance number 5612 entitled, "An Ordinance Amending Title VII, Chapter 4 of the Orland Park Village Code in regard to alcoholic liquor shipping and delivery."
Second.
So just so that everybody knows what this is about, the state changed its laws on alcohol delivery, and we're changing our ordinance to be in compliance with those new laws and rules, so they're not a conflict. And this is another case of the state overruling home rule authority, by the way. What's that? She seconded. Any questions or comments? Call the roll.
Trustee Compass?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Reardon?
Aye.
Trustee Rashevsky?
Aye.
Mayor Pika?
Aye.
2021-0340, an ordinance amending Title VII, Chapter 3 of the Village of Orland Park Code with regards to the sale of firearm ammunition.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Malani.
I move to adopt ordinance number 5613 entitled, "An Ordinance Amending Title VII, Chapter 3 of the Orland Park Village Code with regards to the sale of firearm ammunition."
Second.
Any questions or comments? So this is, we've put this in place to clean up an ordinance that was drafted probably before internet and e-commerce really took off. And what that has done is basically stopped village residents from being able to buy ammunition online, which we know they can't really buy ammunition in Cook County because of the Cook County tax on ammunition. All of the ammunition dealers have left the county. But the way that we had written that ordinance, it was for Dick's. When Dick's came in, and you had to have a license in the village to sell ammunition. Well, obviously now all of the ammunition suppliers that the people of Orland Park have access to are primarily online, or they're well out of town. So this is just allowing them to go through the online, and there's all the processes are in place online. They have to get FOID information and all the data to make sure that they're legally tracking. And it's actually the companies themselves that have refused to sell it, so they do pay attention even to local ordinances and follow the rules. So we're just cleaning that up so that our residents can have access to that. Call the roll.
Trustee Malani?
Aye.
Trustee Compass?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Reardon?
Aye.
Trustee Rashevsky?
Aye.
Mayor Pika?
Aye.
4 comments?
We had one more. Non-scheduled visitors, we've got one.
I'm sorry?
We've got non-scheduled visitors, we've got one. So we always call for non-scheduled visitors.
Okay.
Patty Kazmierski, and a reminder, you have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Patty Kazmierski, and I am an Orland Park resident for 36 years, and I'm a volunteer with Moms Demand Action. I, along with 6 or 7 other residents and volunteers, have sent emails with an attached proclamation to all of the trustees and to you, Mayor Picot. And we are asking you to recognize the first weekend in June as Gun Violence Awareness Weekend. Passions are high, we all know that, on the issue of gun violence, but this proclamation isn't about gun policy or it's not about legislation. Moms Demand Action does not seek to control the guns of responsible, law-abiding citizens. We even have several gun owners in our local chapter. What I'd like to stress here is that I believe we're all on the same side. When it comes to the safety of our village, especially our children, I believe that those of you who are parents want to keep that safety, especially in our churches, our stores, our theaters, and our schools. The proclamation is first and foremost to highlight that gun violence in our country has been on the rise over the past decade. We must all realize and recognize that our towns and cities are not immune from gun violence in all its forms: homicides, suicides, and unintentional shootings. 100 people per day are killed by guns in this country, and it right now is the leading cause of death in children, according to the American Pediatric Association. We know that 58% of American adults say that they know somebody who has experienced gun violence in one way or another. This proclamation is for the purpose of awareness, to acknowledge that there are many survivors in our communities in the south and southwest suburbs, and we honor them with action by adopting the proclamation in Orland Park. Other local communities who have adopted the proclamation in recent years are Blue Island, Bolingbrook, Dalton, Hazel Crest, Homewood, Homer Glen, Lockport, Mokina, Matson, Richton Park, Tinley Park, University Park, and the Will County Board. And this year, Palos Hills is adding it to their agenda. So I know that Orland Park has just been named the safest suburb to live in Illinois, and we should all be very proud of that. I know I am. I've always felt
30 seconds.
pretty safe here. And I believe we'd all like to keep that status. So I'm asking you to please add the proclamation to the agenda for May 17th, and at that time adopt it. So my question to you is, will you do this?
Finished?
Pardon me?
I said, are you finished?
Yes.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay. Response, though.
That's the only one.
Is there anybody else here to speak? Okay, we move to board comments. Okay, who do I start with now? Who's the high timer? Bill Healy. Trustee Healy.
I have 3 comments to make. First of all, I'd like to welcome the new board members as well as the clerk. It takes courage to run for office, and these people have displayed some courage to rise up to this occasion. I want to say thank you, and I look forward to working with all of you. That's comment number 1. Number 2 is recently in the Chicago Tribune article regarding Steve McMichael, it mentioned that he had fond memories of his last concert that he performed at, which was Orland Park. And it was good to see this get a little publicity in the Tribune, and it just reminded me of how the village and the board stepped forward to sponsor that concert event despite a lot of objection. It's just another reason to have these events in the face of mounting obstacles. It's additional confirmation that there are many indirect benefits from these concerts, and that the basis for these concerts just can't be judged through the eyes of a financial statement. So I was glad to see Steve McMichael appreciated that concert. I also wanted to my final comment is I want to note the Hometown Hero banners, which I think the Veterans Department did a great job with. The one I like in particular is of Thomas Humphrey outside the Village Hall here. The same family from the Humphrey House and of Orland fame. He died in the Civil War, and so I guess, yes, it's supposed to make people aware that residents of our village did contribute to ending slavery in this country. So again, if people could stand up and realize that our history is important, we can take examples of the courage that they led to. And again, the courage of the trustees is what I admire too. Thank you.
Trustee Katsinas.
Thank you. I wanted to thank everyone who ran in the local election for office. There are a lot of very, very good people that put themselves out there, and until you go through that yourself, you have no idea what people go through. So to all those candidates who ran, we thank you, and to all those candidates who won, we congratulate them. A special thank you to the newest board members here for running, doing such a fine job. I look forward to working with all of you and our clerk, and more importantly, thank you for re-electing our mayor. One of the best man, other than my husband, that I know. Just a solid person with principles and integrity. So I couldn't think of anybody finer to lead our village and to do great things with a supportive board. So I thank you for that, and thank you to the voters.
Trustee Malani.
First, I'd like to also welcome back Mayor Peikoff for another term. Also like to welcome the 3 new trustees and our new clerk. Looking forward to working with all of them in the coming years. We've got an exciting time ahead of us, and I'm looking forward to keeping our momentum and our progress growing in Orland Park. So welcome, everyone. I'd also like to remind everyone, speaking of the concerts, that the tickets for the Centennial Park West Concert Series are on sale for residents, so you can visit our website for more information. And also, opening day is coming up pretty soon on May 29th for the Aquatic Center, so make your plans. The weather's starting to look better, and hope to see you out there. So thank you all for coming tonight, and have a good night.
Trustee Compass.
So first, I'd like to thank my wife, daughter, family, and friends for coming out tonight in support. It's due to all of your support and encouragement that I've started this journey. I'd also like to thank George, Greg, and all the village department leads and the staff who took time out of their week to speak with us about their future plans. One key takeaway that I had from all of this is that every director had a contagious optimism and excitement for our next year in Orland Park together. And I'm sure over the next 4 years, we're going to face and resolve issues, and we're going to mitigate risks. However, last week, I'm happy to see that our village leadership is also focusing on building on our strengths. It's human nature to dwell on the flaws, just as it is to take the good for granted. And so as I was thinking about my tenure here as a trustee, I'd like to use my future closing statements to highlight how staff, residents, and business owners are building on the strengths of Orland Park. And I hope people will share these stories with me. Specifically tonight, I'd like to focus on the outstanding women and men of our police department. Last year, our index crime rates continued to decline to the lowest they've been in 26 years. This year, that trend continues. The facts underscore the strength that we have in policing our village. And so in building on that strength, last week, we added 4 new officers. So I'd like to thank our newest police officers, Officers Cortino, Lappin, Talley, and Healy, for your willingness to serve. My gratitude also goes to Chief Mitchell and the command staff for creating an environment in which they want to join. Thank you.
Trustee Reardon.
Thank you. I echo a lot of what Sean said. First of all, thank you to the Orland Park residents for putting their trust in us. I'm looking forward to serving. I'm excited to work with Trustee Katsinas, Malani, and Healy, work with Ms. Clerk O'Sullivan, and of course the mayor. I had the same feeling this last week or so. We met all the different department heads. We worked with George, and it was, not that I wasn't optimistic during the campaign, but when I met with each individual heads, but even all the way down the line, the people that we met, each of the departments, you see how excited and hardworking the people who work for Orland Park are. I mean, this is their job, this is their profession, and that gave me a whole different side. Not that I didn't know it was there before during the campaign, but I really see how excited they are to work for the residents. And we're going to work closely with you, and I'm excited to help everywhere I can. And so we got a lot of good things here. It's a great place. The campaign focused on some of the flaws of the city, which are, of course, things that we need to work on. But it's a great time to live here. I've been here 10 years. I got 4 little kids, or 4, some of them little, and I'm excited. So I look forward to work with everybody. Thanks.
Trustee Radiszewski.
I'm definitely going to echo what Sean and Brian both said. I agree. The meetings that we had this past week were excellent, and it was quite an eye-opener. I mean, that all these departments are working and they're doing great things, but to really break it down on such a more granular level, just the projects that they have and just all that goes into it, you kind of take it for granted, just all that it entails. And so I was very impressed. I was impressed by their professionalism, just their hospitality, just how smart all of them are. They were very welcoming. They did a good job of explaining everything to us. It was an enjoyable experience. It was a lot to take in. They work really hard, and I certainly appreciate all that they do. I also want to, thank all the members on the board, and thank you to Mike, Cindy, Keith, Bill, for also coming out and spending your time and helping us. The campaign trail was rough. So as Cindy said, it's a lot more than you could imagine. So but we couldn't have done it, without the team and the support of family and friends, and obviously to all the voters. So thank you very much.
So I'll close. First, I'd like to thank my wife, Betty, for allowing me to run again. This time she was a little bit more willing than the first time. And so thank you, honey, for coming out for this event. I also want to thank all of the elected and candidates for stepping up and running. It's not easy. Whether it's for village board, whether it's for school board, library board, fire district, etc. It's not easy, and until you've been through it, you don't have any idea. And trust me, until you've been here, you really have no idea. But I want to thank you all for stepping up. I want to congratulate, Trustee Campus, Trustee Reardon, Trustee Radiszewski, and Clerk O'Sullivan for their wins, and welcome them aboard. And thank you very much for stepping up. For Clerk O'Sullivan, he's done a great job tonight adjusting on the fly and learning. I can already see the learning curves like this. So from the beginning of the meeting to the end. So I'm sure that'll be great. It's next to sitting in this chair, it's the most challenging position to just come in and all of these things coming at you at one time and having to help manage the meeting, so I really appreciate it. I also want to echo, we've gotten a lot done in the last 4 years, but a lot of it's just started, it's not completed, and a lot of those, one of the things that George has heard me say a lot, and others have heard me say a lot, is that we've faced a lot of challenges, but every time we had a challenge, my view is it's an opportunity. Orland Park's in a strong position, so we need to view challenges as opportunities. Opportunities to take advantage of, that we get better and do better. And I really want to thank staff for taking that to heart, and I echo the comments that we have a fantastic staff, and I want to thank the board, the previous board, for working so hard to eliminate the patronage hiring processes that we had, because what we have is we have a bunch of directors that they're all new because of the early retirement, so all the directors are new. But nobody here knew any of the directors. None of the last 3 board members that left knew any of the directors. We just hired the best people for the job. That's how you get a better run village, as opposed to hiring someone's friend or someone's ally. We just hire the best professional people for the job, and you guys are professionals, so are all the rest of your leadership team and all your staff. So I really appreciate all that, because it wouldn't be possible without you. And lastly, I want to thank the residents. I'm humbled to be up here a second time and for a second term as mayor in the town I grew up in, just a few hundred yards from here. And I really look forward to the next 4 years and getting all of the things that we've put in motion further down the line, if not completed. So thank you very much. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Who made the motion? Sean.
Member Compass?
Aye.
Member Katsinas?
Aye.
Sorry, Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Milani?
Aye.
Trustee Reardon? Aye. Trustee Radiszewski?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye, 7-0, and after I just complimented
I know. Make a lot of mistakes, not
All
the same
right.
one twice. so-
Everyone have a very good night. And